Welcome to the Forensics Laboratory. This video will demonstrate the two experiments you will help students to perform in their classrooms. These materials will be provided in your basket: rubbing alcohol, paper towels, coffee filters, cups, strawberries, Ziploc baggies, measuring cups, TLC paper, chromatography paper, pipettes, and 4 distinct pens. The first experiment is a check forgery experiment or ink chromatography analysis experiment. In the student's worksheet, there are 4 potential suspects who are each found with a pen. These pens are a Pentel pen, held by Pleasant Peter, a Staples pen, which was found with Sleepy Susan, a Papermate pen found with Angelic Andy, and a Bic pen found with Batty Bob. In the setup of this experiment, a sample was already taken from the forged check and chromatography was run on it. A picture of the resulting ink smear is shown on the student's handout. Students will need to compare the smears they make with the one provided in their handout to determine which of these suspects is responsible for the forged check. I will now walk you through the instructions. First, the students should make a small spot on the TLC paper with each pen from left to right, evenly spaced about 1 centimeter above the bottom edge. We've done that on this TLC paper already. It's important that the dots aren't too close to the bottom, because if they become submerged in the rubbing alcohol, then it'll totally ruin the experiment. As the volunteer, you will need to pass the 4 pens around so that each group gets a turn with each pen. The instruction sheet has a spot to record which pen is associated with each dot. Place the TLC paper in the measuring cup. Let the paper lean against the side of the cup with the bottom of the paper resting on the raised center of the cup. When the students are satisfied with the positioning of their TLC paper, they can go and get some rubbing alcohol from you, or you can walk from table to table to provide the rubbing alcohol. For example, you may want to pour some rubbing alcohol into a cup to make it easier for the students to pipette it out. Now in their instructions it says use a pipette to add 2 mils of rubbing alcohol onto the bottom of the cup. Students may not know what ml stands for, so you may want to fill them in. And that is about in the middle of the pipette, as you can see here. Do not let it drip or splash onto the paper, and do not disturb the cup. So there we go. You're in business. Pretty quickly you can see that the spots are beginning to smear. Here we are about 3 minutes after starting. This is a piece of the handout that the students will receive. Here is the example of the ink smear that was done on the ink lifted from the forged check you see on the left. And what you'll notice on this ink smear is that there's kind of a cyan tail on the bottom and then a violet stripe at the top. There's really no strong blue stripe between the cyan and the violet. We're now 5 minutes into the chromatography experiment, at least 5 minutes since adding the rubbing alcohol, and you can see the progress it's made. So I made these dots from left to right in the order of Pentel, Staples, Papermate, Bic. So that's Peter, Susan, Andy, then Bob. And so it's starting to look like that the one that matches would be Batty Bob. This is about 10 minutes after the fact. We will come back to this experiment to check on it in about 5 or to 7 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to try the strawberry experiment. We're going to jump straight into the experiment itself and walk you through what's written here. So the first thing you will need to do is to distribute 1 strawberry to each group. The group members should go ahead and seal the strawberry in a Ziploc bag. Gently squeeze or crush the strawberry to get as much juice out as possible, but they should be gentle enough not to puncture the bag. Now, some students may try to mash it all in one shot. Really, you don't have to push that hard if you're just willing to be patient with it. This student is having a lot of fun. This brings us to step 2. After the strawberry has been adequately squished, set the filter over the top of the cup. These filters fit fairly nicely. You can even kind of push them into the cup a little if you want. So, I'll stabilize that. There we go. Pouring the strawberry. And while that's going on, let's take a look at our chromatography slip. We can see there's kind of a distinct blue spot on the first 3, just below the violet spot, whereas the 4th, which is the Bic pen, doesn't really have that blue stripe. Okay. The juice should drip into the cup, leaving behind the pulp in the filter. So let's see, is that happening? It looks like it is. Perhaps gathering the top of the filter together and applying just a little bit of pressure. It's going to be helpful. You don't want to overdo it because you don't want to puncture the filter, but you do want to get a decent amount of liquid out. By this point, it might be good to have some paper towels available to the students. So here we are at, let's see, about 18 minutes after we started the chromatography, and it's pretty clear that the 4th one is the best match. So there you have it. At least 10 minutes to be able to identify, and a good 15 to 20, in this case 18 minutes, to be able to make a really quality comparison and matching there. So that one we'll consider done. Moving back here, we've been just kind of pressuring the bag or the filter to get the strawberry juice out. Some patience and just a little bit of pressure. Like I said, we don't want to burst the filter. You'll know when you've burst the bag or the filter because you can see some strawberry coming out. At that point, it's time to put the filter back into the bag. Since we're done with the chromatography experiment, we can take the chromatography paper out of that cup and just place it aside. It'll be your job to go and refill the student's cup up to about 10 to 15 mils of isopropyl, let's say rubbing alcohol. So this is your job as the volunteer. Add rubbing alcohol. Pipette or pour 15 mils of rubbing alcohol into the strawberry juice in the cup. Watch. Look closely at the strawberry juice mixture, and observe the changes. So you can see there are 2 layers here. While there may not be a lot of DNA, if you give it some time, you should start to see some cloudy string-like things, kind of like some spiderweb wisps. And why don't we stir it a little bit and see if we can get them to agglomerate. And there you go. They're starting to gather together. There you have it. There's some strawberry DNA. For cleanup, go ahead and have the students put their pipette in the waste bag or in their plastic bag. And then you, as the volunteer, you can go around with a cup and a filter and put the filter in a cup, in one of the big cups, and just have all the students pour their strawberry waste into your cup through the filter. Then they can go ahead and throw away all of their stuff. You can take all of the isopropyl alcohol or rubbing alcohol and pour it down the drain with plenty of water. So start the water beforehand, and then when you filtered out what you can. Now if it doesn't want to, on second thought, if the isopropyl alcohol from the students doesn't want to go through a filter very quickly, you may just want to trust that the students did a pretty good job filtering out the pulp from their strawberries, and just collect all of their samples in a cup, all of their rubbing alcohol, and then using plenty of water to wash it down the sink. Everything else is just solids. The students can zip up their bags and throw that away in the classroom trash can.